aka 12, the host of the Welcome to the J podcast presented by the Field of 68 Media Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content such as this. And also don't forget to download the Locker Room app where we have pre and post game shows where you can really be interactive with the host. You can request to speak, you can type in questions, and we keep the conversation going on that platform as well. Today we are here to kind of give a recap of what happened last night in the unfortunate loss for the Jays, 77-69 in Cincinnati against the Xavier Musketeer Basketball Club. A tough game for the boys. It just really couldn't get anything going offensively, or not enough offense, I should say, to propel them to a victory. We have to look at the lack of bench production, which really came back and hurt the Jays. The only player to come off the bench and score last night was Kalkbrenner, and he provided 9 points off the bench. Everything else, the starting five provided as far as scoring is concerned. That has become one of the main concerns for the Jays over the last few games. There was games earlier in the year where we saw their depth really come into play. They had great contributions from a number of different players, not only offensively but defensively as well. Unfortunately, last night that was not the case for the boys. A lack of depth production, a lack of impact off the bench really set the tone for the game. Where in key moments where they needed someone else other than the starting five to step in, they just were not able to get those types of contributions. So looking forward to the games upcoming on the schedule. Hopefully that's something that the coaching staff could get right. We'd love to see more contribution from the guys coming off the bench. It doesn't necessarily have to be scoring, but it could be about providing more energy, playing key defensive spots, and obviously scoring certainly doesn't hurt either. Another thing that we must mention and talk about is the Jays' inability to defend Scruggs yesterday, the guard for the Xavier Ball Club, who kind of had his way especially in key moments. He scored, he assisted, he rebounded, he really pushed the pace when they needed to, and he set up their offense when they needed to as well. This has been kind of a reoccurring theme that the Jays have struggled with, unfortunately, this season. Earlier in the year, obviously, we all remember the game against UConn when Book Knight had a tremendous game for that ball club, and against St. John's where Champagne, had a blowout game against the Jays as well. For whatever reason, every once in a while, a guy who's a main ball handler, someone who really controls the pace of the game, has an incredible game against the boys, and we haven't really found that perimeter defender that will really lock guys down when those moments come. Last year, it was Tyshawn Alexander. Whenever someone really got going, Coach Mack could rely on him to stick that guy, to really not let him get going anymore, to kind of stop the bleeding per se. This year, they've kind of done it by committee. It's been DJ a lot. It's been Denzel Mahoney a lot. Last night, Scruggs got going early, and it was just a little bit too late before they were able to put some clamps on him and really start to slow down his production. By that time, the Jays were battling an uphill battle, and it was tough for them to get back into the game. So if the Jays continue to face these dynamic guards who can do just about anything, and every team that's going to play at a high level has one of those guys, it could be a really difficult time for them. So I would hope that the guys get it together on the defensive side of the ball when they recognize that a guy has it going, that they pay much more closer attention to them, and that they're able to slow or stop the bleeding before it gets too bad. In a bright note for the Jays, though, Marcus Zagorowski, congratulations, brother. Your first career double-double. Unfortunately, you came in a loss. But as I mentioned before in previous podcasts and previous locker room sessions, that Marcus has really come into his own. His confidence is back to where we expect it to be. He's leading the team. He's doing just about all that he can do to put the Jays in a good position to win. And last night's double-double is obviously, him being back in his element, him feeling comfortable, and that's a great sign for the Jays moving forward. He's such a dynamic player. He's one of those guys that can propel a team into the next game, especially in a one and done tournament such as the Big East tournament or the NCAA tournament. And of course, my favorite Blue Jay this year, DJ Damian Jefferson, coming through with 19 points, 8 rebounds. A really stellar game from him individually. Again, unfortunately, it came in a loss, but it's good to see DJ staying aggressive, putting his head down. When he's aggressive and he's looking to score and he's driving the basketball, his confidence skyrockets, and before you know it, he's knocking down catch and shoot threes, and then he just becomes a crazy threat offensively in the half court. So good on you, DJ. Keep on keeping on. It's good to see that your confidence is up. It's good to see that you're back to being an integral part of the offense. And now we just need everybody, the starting five, the bench, everybody to contribute in order to, keep getting these wins and building the resume that we need before heading into March. The next game for the Jays on the schedule, a rematch against Villanova. As we all remember, the Jays handled their business at home against Villanova, really made quick work of them, controlled the pace of the game the whole time, and it was an extremely important game for the Jays before they had an 11-day rest before the next game against DePaul. So this time it's going to be in Philadelphia, a very tough environment against a team that you would beat previously at home. Is going to be a very difficult game. There's no easy games on the road in the Big East, especially not against a top 5 team such as Nova, who is so well coached by Jay Wright, as we all know. So though that is what we're going to be having our eyes on. The Jays on the road against Villanova on Wednesday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I will be back to give a recap after that game, either on the Locker Room app or on this platform right here, the Philly 68 Media Network. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us for all of this beautiful Creighton Blue Jay content. We'll get back to the show in a minute, but first let me tell you about our partners over at DraftKings Sportsbook. With March Madness being down our door, DraftKings is the best way for you to get a little action in on the game. If you have not downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app yet, what are you waiting for? It's the safest, it's the most secure, it's the most reliable, and it also allows you to safely deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. And this week, they're offering my listeners a pretty sweet deal. If you sign up now with the promo code FIELD68, that's all caps, FIELD68, you can turn $1 into $100 if one of the main event fighters in UFC 259 this weekend lands a single punch. That's it. One punch to turn $1 into $100. And don't worry if MMA is not your thing. DraftKings Sportsbook offers odds and promos on basketball, hockey, and whatever sports you're watching. But since they're basically giving away $100, you might as well sign up now, watch a little UFC, and remember to use promo code FIELD68. That's all caps, FIELD68. You must be 21 years or older. Offer available for a limited time only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Today, stepping into the J with me is our 13th guest. He's currently in his 5th year as a pro, playing in Poland. He's also played in Germany, in Kazakhstan, and in France. He represented Team USA in the Pan American Games where they won a bronze medal. And in that bronze medal game, he scored 18 points and 10 rebounds. As a Blue Jay, he recorded a total of 593 points and 317 rebounds. As a senior for the Jays, he averaged 11.2 points, 6.1 rebounds while shooting 70% from the field. He is the pride of Plano, Texas. Big Geoffrey Groselle, the Texan, is in the building. Welcome to the Jay, Jeff.
What's up, man? What's up?
Man, how you been? How you living?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How's Poland treating you so far?
It's been, it's been a hell of a year, man, because we play in the Russian league and we've beaten some big teams, beat CSKA Moscow. For those of you that don't know, CSKA's like the
big
team.
Time. Big time EuroLeague team, one of the best teams in all of Europe. So I mean, I'm looking up some of the stuff that you've done as a pro. Obviously, we're going to get into it, but like your development is something that I certainly want to talk about because you've had the kind of traditional slow uplifting career, and now you're kind of reaching the peak of your powers, and it's just so wonderful to see from the outside looking in.
Yeah, man, it's been great. It's been great. This year has been fantastic for me, especially been putting up some big numbers, trying to make a big jump next year.
Speaking of big numbers,
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say what happened last night in the game that you
Go
had?
ahead, man.
My man, Big Jeff put up 29 points, 8 rebounds in a win. Man, like if you play in Europe, if you have played in Europe, you know putting up 29 points is a difficult task. So congratulations on that, brother. Like I said, like your career, it feels like you're just reaching the peak of your power. So, I mean,
Yeah.
let's get into it. I remember the first time that I met you was on your visit. And I remember thinking, yo, this kid could really, really help us because you're a different kind of big that we had seen before. You were very agile. You were quick on your feet, fast in transition. You ran like a deer. You were already strong. I think you were 17 years old when you came on your visit. And I was just like, yo, we need to get this guy into Jay's jersey for sure, because I thought that you could really, really help our team. Especially I was looking in the front court with Will Artino was redshirting that year, but we had Gregory Echenike and Kenny Lawson was about to be a senior. So I thought that you could really solidify our front court. Talk to me about your visit, what you remember, just scrimmaging with us, and obviously like give me some of the reasons why you chose to go to Creighton in the first place.
Bro, what sold me was what was then called the Quest Center. They showed me the Quest.
Yeah.
That's all I need to see.
Yeah.
No, but Coach McDermott is really the selling factor that got me. I mean, he put me in his office, told me, what kind of role I could have, that kind of stuff. And obviously in my first couple of years, it didn't pan out with, a bunch of injuries and stuff. But yeah, I mean, playing for a coach like Coach McDermott was, great opportunity, and I couldn't turn it down.
That's one of the things I want to talk to you about for sure. You committed to Creighton. When I saw you, obviously in your visit and then preseason or off-season workouts, preseason workouts, you look so good. We get to around 2 days, and this when the injuries start to kind of pile up and start to hold you back. You had the decision with the coaching staff to redshirt, which kind of seems like a trend for some of the bigs at Creighton for whatever reason. That first year, like you guys really need that first year to get your feet under you. But yours really was mainly because of injuries. Talk to me about some of what those injuries were and what held you back from performing how you wanted to in your first couple of years.
Yeah, man. The main injury was my Achilles. I had some calcium deposits that were causing inflammation and just all kinds of mobility issues. And ended up getting surgery on them. It took, I think, 2 years before I got the surgery, and then another year after that before, I got 100%, and then went out to P3, and they got me right with some stretching regimen and some exercises that, increased the mobility of my ankles, and that stuff, really, really helped in the end. But
I remember one summer when you were getting your Achilles surgeries. Look, obviously it's not a laughing matter. I felt for you, but bro, this was just so funny. You had two boots. You had two Achilles boots at once.
Bro,
and you used to try and play it off like they were just regular shoes. I'm like, bro, you can't just put your jeans over top of two boots and walk around campus like it's all good.
bro, I went to the bars like that, man.
Bro, I remember one time we went to Whiskey Tango. Yeah.
Bro, we were at Billy Frogs, man.
Man, that's hilarious.
Had the two boots on, man.
Bro, that is so funny because I remember like being like, Jeff, like, are you sure you're trying to step out with us? You're just like, yeah, man, I could do it. Just as long as I get there, I just have to sit down.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly.
That is hilarious, man. All right, so you have all these injuries. Obviously, I know you want to contribute right away. Like I said, you decided to redshirt. What was kind of going through your mind seeing our team? That was like some of our more successful teams too. I know you wanted to be a part of that success, but like the main thing that we needed you to do was to get healthy. So talk about kind of the frustrations of having all these injuries always like setting you back.
Well, it was more frustrating than like I can even explain, bro. Because I would call my brother like crying some days, like, man, like it's so miserable for me because I know I'm a better player than what I'm showing, I mean, I get up in the mornings and I can hardly walk. Like, I mean, how can I keep, going on like this? And I even told I even told Isaiah Zierden, I was like, man, I think I'm going to retire, bro. Like, I can't keep doing this. And he said, I'll never forget this conversation with him. He's like, man, God has plans for you. Just keep pushing. And, I wouldn't be here today without that conversation with Z and those conversations with my brother, man. Like, and it's, I've had a hell of a career overseas, ended up finishing out pretty decent at Creighton, and, overseas made me a lot of money. So.
Your story reminds me a lot of current Jacob Epperson, who kind of like you, a big man, had to redshirt, a lot of injuries early in his career. I always try to relate, some of the alumni to the current players, because playing styles are kind of similar sometimes. And I feel like you and him, as far as that injury history, have a lot in common. What would you say to someone like that, or, anybody in that kind of situation where early in their career, they're just not showing their ability simply because injuries are holding them back? What kind of advice would you give to someone like that?
Man, just keep pushing, bro. Like, keep pushing it. If he can find a way to get healthy, bro, the sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's way better than I'll ever be. I mean, he's NBA potential to the max. Tall, long arms, catching lobs, blocking shots, skilled player. I mean, he's got so much potential. You just got to keep pushing, man. Every time he's hands down my favorite player at Creighton too right now.
Yeah.
Just every time he gets on the court, man, I'm rooting for him. And you can tell, like, the whole coaching staff's rooting for him. Everyone's pulling for him.
He got a chance to step on the floor against DePaul last game. It was so nice to see him back on the court. Obviously, Jays handled their business. They're doing really well right now. How much have you been able to see this current Jays team? Obviously, like, I know with the time difference, it could be kind of tough sometimes to stay up at night and watch those games. But how much of this year's Jays have you seen, and what do you think their potential is?
Bro, this year more than any other year, I feel like they're having a lot of afternoon games, which is great for me.
Yeah, because of COVID.
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah.
I was able to catch the first half of the Nova game. I was able to catch, I feel like, about half their games this year. This is nice, more than any other year. So I feel like they got a lot of potential. Hopefully make it past that second round that we keep getting stuck at, man.
I brought this up on our podcast like a ton already. I think I need to stop bringing it up. I feel like the more that I do it, I feel like I'm somehow, some way jinxing them. So I instead of saying get past the second round, I just say be a Elite Eight team, maybe a Final Four team, a Sweet 16 team. Let's just say that instead of, we got to get past the second round. Like, let's just not say that anymore, because I feel like I'm just jinxing them every time we bring it up. We had Justin Patton on the podcast before you. He was our last guest. He talked about his redshirt year when he had to defend you. He had to defend Zach Hanson, but you in particular, he mentioned how he thought you were an NBA All-Star because you were just giving him work. You were just much stronger, much more physical than he was. He didn't know how to seal or do any of those things, and he learned a lot of those skills playing against you and defending you. I remember your redshirt year, another big man doing something similar to you. My guy, Gregory Echenike. I mean, he did it to everyone. I talked to Will Artino about it too, but he did that to everybody. He's still doing it. Shout out to Gian in Japan right now. I think he's going to be a father soon too. So congratulations to you, Greg. So kind of talk about, the stuff that you learned from Greg as far as like that physicality that you have to play in, day out with. And obviously it's helped you in your career. And you also were able to teach that to the future bigs who played in Creighton after you. So play at Creighton after you, I should say. So talk about like some of the stuff that you learned from just the battles that you and G had in practices every day.
Well, I learned from the best, man. I mean, there's nobody more physical than G. I mean, just look at him. I mean,
massive.
Yeah, still dominating down there. Learned from the best. Also learned from, watching Doug a lot, the way he seals. I mean, Doug's not necessarily the strongest guy, but he's like, especially in college, he sealed better than anybody.
Mhm.
And yeah, I learned a lot from those guys, just picking up little things here and there. And I was able to use it against Justin a lot in practice, and so it was frustrating for him, just like it was frustrating for me going against Greg.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a career he ended up having after.
Right. It's so funny because like JP also talked about like because he wasn't as strong as you, he had to learn different ways to defend, which obviously helped him out.
Right.
And obviously like I've been able to catch a couple of your games. I'm seeing the way that you move and all that stuff. Your defense is really something that you've improved a ton, like in that particular area in my eyes. Talk about like maybe a renewed focus on that end of the floor, or maybe some of the skills that you've picked up over the years that have helped you out on that side of basketball.
Well, there's been a few things. Last year in particular, I wasn't one of the guys that was the main focus offensively for me in France. Really frustrating year for me offensively, but I had to focus more on the defensive end and how I can affect the game in that way. So so I really had to step up my game there. And I've also, I'm not the strongest guy. I'm a strong guy, but not the strongest. So I had to pick up a few tricks like pulling the chair on defense. I mean,
Yeah.
It's got to be one of the funniest things I do because everybody falls for it. Everybody. I think like, I don't know, I had to have done it at least 20 times this season. You think guys would learn it, but they really don't.
Yeah.
Just pulling like little tricks like that, little learning things as I go on, and playing for the coach that I have now. He's really defensively focused. So yeah, it's definitely been a focus of mine over the past few years.
The Creighton bigs in the last, let's call it decade, from more of our era of playing, have had such great success playing overseas. Like we mentioned, G out in Japan, Kenny Lawson is out in Japan as well. You're in Poland right now in your 5th year. I think G's already 10 years in. I know Kenny Lawson's like 11 years in, if I'm not mistaken. And then Will Artino, I think he just signed to Uruguay. So there's a bunch of Korean bigs who, they're not making the NBA particularly, but they're still making great money overseas. They still have a lot of success overseas, like you're enjoying this year. What is it about maybe the culture of Creighton that allows you guys to continue in your career, to have success in your career, for you to be at the place that you're at today?
Man, I mean, shout out to the coaching staff, Steve Lutz and Steve Murfeld. I guess Lutz isn't, of course, he isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
But, and Coach DeVries as well, they really worked on us, low post skills, sealing, post moves, and a lot of those skills translate to overseas. All of us run really well, able to set lots and lots of pick and rolls. I mean, that's basically overseas ball, and that's what Creighton does: pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll. And that ability to score on the move is, it translates well.
As far as COVID is concerned this year, like not a lot of people know that you're kind of like me in a sense that you love to interact with the fans, especially on good plays, bad plays, and all that stuff. I'm very demonstrative about it. You're a little bit more low-key about it, but I know it riles you up when you're able to get the fans to interact with you. Talk about how crazy this year has been with like no fan interaction, no fans in the stands in this crazy COVID year that we're experiencing.
Yeah, man, it's definitely different. It's definitely got its pluses and minuses. It sucks not being able to interact and feed off of that energy, even if it's negative energy. I love fans booing me and stuff.
They boo you a lot, I'm sure.
Bro, in Germany especially, man, I would go play in Bonn, and every time they boo me.
Yeah.
They hated me in Bonn. But yeah, it's definitely different. But at least with no fans, you're able to have that interaction with your teammates and be able to communicate ball screen defense, be able to communicate with the coach more often, be able to hear the plays. Because I mean, you know how it is. You play in a loud gym and may not be able to hear 10 feet away from each other. And imagine trying to call out, a ball screen and stuff with that kind of noise. But, some teams are trying this like pumping in crowd noise and stuff, and it's the worst. It's not
Trash.
yeah, it's not genuine
Trash.
at all. All it does is, distract you at that point, because it's not like you're getting energy off of, the speaker. So,
Right. If it makes you feel any better, I was not loved in Germany either by opposing fan. That you know how I play,
yeah,
running into
exactly.
ball screens and falling and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
the fans didn't really love me in Germany either. But the fans at home absolutely loved me doing Gießen.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what a time to be like, oh, but I mean, I don't know if I should mention this now or later, but just remember that you're 0-2 in your pro career against me. So
Man, that was a rough year. That was a rough year. Did I play against you my second year too? Because you went back
in
to
Bremerhaven, yeah, I went back and I think, yeah, you were with my boy Johnny, right?
yeah.
There it is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
0-3 maybe, because I don't remember losing to you when you were in Bremerhaven. So hey, all right,
Yeah.
I'll take an extra dub.
Bro, those are some rough years to start for me,
Yeah,
man. Rough
yeah.
team.
But
Yeah,
hey, look at where you are at now. So, like
yeah.
it's not a easy path. And I think people like kind of forget about that. Like it's not ever an easy path no matter where you go play. I remember
No,
like some of our former teammates even were asking me like, hey, like, are you EuroLeague yet? I'm just like, bro, you know how hard it is to make it to that
yeah.
level. So it's like you just
Bro,
gotta keep
speaking
your
of
head down and
EuroLeague,
keep grinding. Yeah.
we just lost our point guard to Cheska.
Right. Exactly.
Big hit to our team, but we picked up your guy Skylar now.
Skylar. Shout out
Yeah,
Skylar Bolin. Hell yeah.
yeah,
The whole Gießen team, and I'm still close to a lot of those guys. So it was just such a good time for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I want to go back to your senior year. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, like you're up by far your best year, averaging 11 points, 6 rebounds a game. Talk about maybe the vindication that you felt like finally I'm healthy. I think Maurice Watson was your point guard that year, and obviously he was such a good distributor of the ball. He really made you look good as well. So talk about like 5 years of frustration, injuries, wanting to perform, not being able to do it to the best of your ability. You're finally getting better, and you finally get to show out at least for 1 year to those Creighton fans who maybe had a bit of doubt about the kind of player that you were, and then you left them kind of wishing that they had a little bit more of Geoffrey. So talk to me about that last year and how what it meant to you.
Man, I'll never forget going into my fourth year before my senior year, or not going into it, about halfway through. Steve Lutz called me into his office, and I don't know if he was bluffing or not, but it definitely worked. He basically told me like, "Hey, if you don't pick it up, you're not coming back next year." And he could have easily been bluffing, but right around then I started to turn things around, started feeling healthy for the first time, feeling good. I had 4 or 5 games in a row where I was scoring 14, 16, 18, some really good stretch for me. So I finished out that year really well, which felt amazing. And then going into my senior year feeling healthy, finally, having the opportunity to showcase myself and maybe prove to the people that have, doubted me through the years that, I can actually do something. And it was, amazing feeling to finally get on the court and show what I can do.
That junior year for you, not the best year at all. You
Yeah.
guys didn't play too well, but like you said, it gave you a chance to really get on the floor and really be featured in the offense. That next year, senior year, you don't make it quite to the NCAA tournament, but you do make it to the NIT. Talk about that run. It's a postseason tournament. It's a highly touted tournament as well. Talk about that run and how it felt for you to end off your career representing Creighton in the NIT.
Yeah, it was a great feeling. I'll never forget getting selected for the NIT because not everyone's that excited, but for me it meant another opportunity to play another game. And you know how it is as a senior. It's a very emotional time.
You're just trying to hold on
You're
for
holding
dear
on,
life.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want to let this go. Like, I'm not ready for this to be over. And thank
Yeah.
God I redshirted at the beginning, or I wouldn't have even gotten that year. But yeah, it was such a surreal feeling to be able to play, a few more games. Didn't end the way we wanted to, losing to BYU, but it was a good run.
You've, like we mentioned before, I've had such a good career so far. Obviously, we're all wishing you the best, and we wish that it continues for you. Talk about, the different places that you've played at. Like, I can only imagine what Kazakhstan looks like. And actually, you and Justin Carter both played on that team in Astana, right?
Yeah.
Talk about like the different places that you've played at, and maybe tell us your favorite place to play so far.
Yeah, man. So I played in Germany for 2 seasons, which was honestly my favorite place to live. You know how it is. They take care of
Germany's
you.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah. Your money's on time. The basketball's good. I mean, great place. And then I played in the league that I'm in now. I went to Kazakhstan, played in the Russian VTB, and that was definitely the most interesting experience. The president was a dictator, and it was they were spying. It was crazy. It was crazy experience. But Astana, the city, is actually much nicer than you'd expect. It's not like what you see in Borat or anything like that. It's nice. It's nice. It's like a little Las Vegas. The buildings are big. The lights are on. It's cool. It's dope. The food is good and cheap too. Really cheap to live there. So you can live like a king for no money. I mean, it was nice. And then from there, I went to France. Had a really shitty experience with basketball, but which kind of left a sour taste in my mouth about France. I mean, France is a great country. I loved going to Paris. I love visiting. We went to Champagne, visited Switzerland while we were there. It was a great experience, but I'll probably never go back just because basketball left such a sour taste in my mouth, man. And then now
isn't it such a crazy thing how like different countries have these different styles of play, and depending on who you are, like how you like to play, like it could either suit you or it could definitely not suit you at all. Like I would imagine for you would, going into that year in France, you're just like, man, I'm in a big time country playing a high level basketball. I'll be able to really showcase my skills here. You get there and you realize the style of play is not conducive to how you'd like to play.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I had this deal, same deal that I have now in Poland, and to play in the VTB, all this stuff. And then I had the France deal last year, and my agent was telling me, that, hey, France really isn't the type of basketball for you, but the money was better, and I was living in France instead of Poland. So I was like, whatever. I can play, like, I'll figure it out, and it was a mistake, but I learned a lot from that mistake. It's more important to choose a situation than necessarily money or even the country that you're going to live in. I had just spent a year in Kazakhstan. I was like, man, I don't want to experience another year playing in Russia. It's cold. Like I didn't want to experience that again. But this year's, treated me so well. It was a big mistake going to France last year, and this coach here is phenomenal, Zan Tabak. He's played in the NBA for about 8 years. Big guy, gives the ball in the post a lot, and it's been great for me.
There's really 3 ways to represent your country. One of them is through government. The other one is through war, and obviously through sports. You had a chance to do the latter at the Pan American Games, representing Team USA. That team was comprised of, a bunch of Big East athletes, coached by Coach Cooley at Providence, which, I have tremendous respect for. I know that you do as well. He's one of Coach Mack's maybe best friends in the coaching ranks in the NCAA. So talk about that experience for you to put USA, at the front of your jersey, to be able to represent your friends and family back home. What did that experience mean to you? And obviously you guys won bronze, so it wasn't, the worst trip in the world. So just talk to me about that experience.
First of all, shout out to that coaching staff, and shout out to Greg McDermott for suggesting me for the team. Kevin Willard was also on the coaching staff. It was a phenomenal experience, and playing for them. But as far as, playing for Team USA, like that's something that I'll never forget. I'll never forget, being up there, even though we got bronze, hearing the national anthem played, something I'll never forget. And who knows, in 20 years, I might tell my kids that I was playing with LeBron. In 50 years, my kids are going to think I was an all-star in the NBA.
Yeah, you're an Olympian, all of that. You're on the redeem team.
Yeah, exactly.
You could tell them that you were the one who replaced DeMarcus Cousins on the redeem team or whatever, some nonsense like that.
instead of Plumlee.
But yeah, like I said, that bronze medal game, 18 points, 10 rebounds, obviously ending that tournament on about as high as you can.
Yeah.
So you step up on the podium, you receive that bronze medal. What's the feeling that's going through your head at that particular moment?
Man, it was surreal, even though it was the Pan Am Games and wasn't necessarily the Olympics, but for me, it was the Olympics. For me, it, meant so much. It meant, my family was able to watch me. I'm going to take that medal with me for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And first of all, the game before that, we played against Argentina, who's got Campazzo, who's now
Facu on the Denver Nuggets. Yep.
Yeah, Luis Scola. I mean, we got rocked by them. I mean, we had a bunch of young kids compared to what we were playing against. But yeah, that bronze medal game, it was a fantastic game for me. Fantastic experience. Something I'll never forget.
That's awesome. Geoffrey, thank you so much for taking a little time out of your day to step into the J with me. Just kind of like old times on the low.
Yeah. I actually met my girl at the J.
Oh, exactly. See? Yeah. Look, the J brought so many good memories for everybody. So it's sad that it's gone now, but at least, conversations like this help hold up its memory for the time being. So thanks again. To the fans listening, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Philly 68 Media Network. And don't forget to download the Locker Room app for content such as this. And for more content about college basketball from all of our various other hosts representing the alma maters. Geoffrey Groselle, thank you again so much, bro. Love you. We're going to have to catch up at some point soon here shortly. And obviously stay safe. Keep hooping. So proud of, where you are. And I know that the sky's the limit for you. So, and when you see Skylar, give him a nice little, elbow check on my behalf, please, and thank you.
I got you.
All right, bro. Take care, man. Appreciate you.